Howdy, y'all, and welcome to another episode on David's Saturday Night Sitback. I am David, your host, and almost 3 years ago, I started this podcast having no idea what it was going to be about or who my target audience was going to become. After the first 12 episodes came out, I was approached by a 17-year-old in the gym who told me that at the young age of 16 years old, he was so miserable that he tried to take his own life. Fast forward to today, he's alive, thriving, and he has joined the military, but it was at that moment that I knew exactly what this podcast was going to become. I'm on a mission to find the hidden gems in Austin, Texas, and give them a platform with one mandate: to tell personal stories that will light the internal fire within the audience so they can have a candle in the darkness as they navigate the dark nights of their journey. My end game for this podcast is that one day I have thousands of emails from people all over the world telling me how these stories gave them the courage to take their dreams, turn them into goals, and turn their dream life into reality. So with that being said, if today's episode impacts you, email your story to sitbackwithdavid@gmail.com. With that in mind, let me introduce you to the guest sitting back with me this morning. What if the moments you're most proud of are the ones that kind of sucked while you were in them? The freezing campsite, the brutal workout, the season of your life where you felt uncertain, uncomfortable, maybe even a little lost, but you didn't quit. What if the world telling you to optimize everything, your sleep, your macros, your productivity, your personality, is actually pulling you further away from who you are? What if discipline isn't just about becoming perfect, but about becoming solid? Today's guest is someone who's lived in that tension. Small town Kansas upbringing, college football, years in corporate America making great money on easy hours until he got laid off and had a choice: to go back to comfort or to bet on himself. He chose the harder road. He emptied his savings, leaned into fitness, and now coaches men to build strength that carries them beyond the gym, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Sitting back with me today is Kory Lonberger. Kory, thank you for who you are. Thank you for being here, and welcome to your episode on David's Saturday Night Sitback.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, dude. How'd that go?
It sounded pretty good.
Okay, cool.
It sounds like you've done it once or twice before.
Two or three times maybe.
Good.
Are you happy?
You know what? I had a friend the other day, friend and a client, and he was like, if you won the Powerball, you got $10 billion, what would you change about your life right now? I was like, I think I'd be kind of doing the exact same shit that I'm doing already. And he was like, dude, that's the point. That's the idea. That I was like, yeah, that is. I would probably be hanging out at the gym most of the time. I'd probably be training a couple different people. I wouldn't be training as many people as I am now, but I would be still doing the thing. So, yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy.
Knowing what you know about your own story and journey, why do you think the audience should stick around for today's episode?
Oh, man. I'm not one to brag on myself, so it's. I mean, if you guys are really bored, you want to hear about me, then you should stick around. But like, I don't know if there's going to be any giant revelations. I like to keep a pretty even head on most things, and I like to take things and dumb them down as much as possible because that helps me myself. Like, I'm not a genius. I'm not dumb, but I'm not a genius, and so anytime I can just simplify things to the nth degree, that's what I try to do, and that's made my life a whole lot easier. So if you want something that's going to, or you want to hear from someone that knows how to simplify things and to make their life easier, I think you should stick around.
If we were to, our resumes, our LinkedIn profiles, our CVs, whatever you want to call them, define sort of what we do on a 40-hour-a-week basis, but I feel like that is maybe 1% of who we are as people. Who is Kory?
Who am I? Well, you did a good wrap up, or not wrap up, but just like summarization of me in the beginning. I am from a very small town. I grew up farming and ranching. So I have that type of background, which back in Kansas isn't anything special. Everyone kind of grows up that way. At least everyone that was around me kind of grew up that way. And then I moved to a city and they're like, oh my God, you did that? You were around cattle and stuff? It's like, yeah, but it didn't seem like that special of a thing. It seems it's foreign to a lot of people. So having that background, coming from such a small area, like, for example, I graduated with 18 kids in my class. Like, there's 126 kids K through 12. It was a very, very small, very, very rural area. And so you don't think of that as like unique as you're growing up. Like I had like the most all-American childhood ever. Like I could literally at like 9 years old could just get on my bike and go ride around town. Whereas in Austin, I don't see a whole lot of 9-year-olds just like riding their bike around because it's a major city that could, there's possibilities of them getting in too much trouble or, getting kidnapped or whatever. Like that was just not a reality of me growing up. I could kind of go do whatever I want. Like me and my friends could till the lights came on at night, and that's when it was like, okay, everyone's got to go home.
Yep.
And that is something that I would love to be able to recreate for my own kids at some point. But I also love Austin, so I don't know if that I'm going to move to a small town, but I did have like a very all-American like childhood.
You think you could pull that off in the greater Austin area? Thinking of like Kyle, or maybe you're not in the city itself, but
If the east side of Austin stays like it is right now, I think you could maybe do that with your kids. I think it's still a little dangerous, but maybe not at 9 years old, but at like 13 years old for sure. They could just, bum around their bikes. I mean, you see kids on those fucking electric, basically like they look like dirt bikes
yeah.
riding around, which it's the adult in me is like, that's so dangerous. But the kid in me is like, dude, that would have been so fucking awesome to have that when I was a kid. That's what I dreamed of having as a kid, to be able to get around. That'd be insane. I think you could do it. It just would be, it would still be different. It wouldn't be the same. It's hard to replicate that because it was a town of like 1,900 people. So it's just like, and it was a pocket. So that I don't think you could fully replicate it. It'd still be different.
I took a Thad to Zilker last Sunday night, and it was cool to see a lot of kids, probably from like 8 to 18, that were just hanging out, having little picnics, playing football, playing spike ball.
Yeah.
Not the same as growing up in a 1,900 person town,
Yeah.
but it was also just like it brought me back a little bit because you don't see that in Austin very much.
Yeah. I think it's good that in Austin that we have places like Zilker, or just like the amount of parks that we have that you can do that. Like we didn't have a big park in Minneapolis, Minneapolis, Kansas, not Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we can make that distinction because everyone gets confused by that. But the thing in Minneapolis was the basketball courts. Like that was like the place to go. That was the hangout place. That's where obviously you play pickup games of basketball. You would take your bike out on there. If you're trying to skateboard, you would skateboard out there. And it would be a range of ages. It'd be kids all the way from like 7 and 8 up to guys in their 20s. They were playing basketball. And so that was the place to go. That was the place to hang out. But I think having parks and stuff in Austin somewhat replicates that.
Yeah.
From what I had.
A little bit. Let's take you back in time. You got some pictures for you. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you want to see this, jump over to YouTube for the next couple minutes. They'll be on the video.
Okay.
Who's that?
That's my great granddad, Earl Lonberger. So Earl Lonberger, man, this is crazy. I never he was alive when I was born, but if I remember right, he fell off the back of a pickup and knocked his head, and then that's how he died. I don't think he would have ended up. I think he would have lived a lot longer had that not happened. But this guy, if you can't tell from the photo, he's a very, very stern individual. But I do love this photo because it's at the farmhouse outside Lincoln, Kansas, and I think it just does a really good job of capturing the essence of this guy because he was a tough motherfucker, to say the least. And maybe you could even say kind of an asshole.
Did that trickle down to his son and then your dad and then you at all?
Yeah, for sure. I think in generations it softens up. My granddad, also very stern individual. I didn't really see because to give context, my granddad has been in AA for 40 years. Previous to being in AA,
an elder.
He was yes. Previous to being in AA, he was your prototypical alcoholic, abusive father, which was not great. Now he went to AA and he's sobered up, and he's been sober now for 40 plus years. But he still is very stern in his actions and the way that he, like my father was raised. Now my dad, obviously, then that went down a generation. My dad wasn't near as stern, but I also have two older brothers. We're Irish triplets, so I'm 35. My other brother's 36, and my other brother's 37. So if you think about that in a household of kids, if you had a 13, 12, and an 11-year-old, you have three boys that are either going through puberty or getting ready to go through puberty. So there was a lot of teenage angst in my house already because of that. But yeah, for sure, that definitely like came down, and which is part of like with me, I noticed the amount of anger from that, specifically that side of the family, and it's something that I've worked really hard on to not carry that with me. Because as a, you know, basically until in my 20s, that's, putting a hole in the wall was not uncommon for me to do, which is so embarrassing to even talk about because it's like, what would you even do other than just hurt your hand by punching a hole? And drywall's not that, it's not that impressive, guy. It's like, so it's, I remember the last time I did it and I was just like, God damn it. Why do I keep hitting walls and putting holes in them? I didn't even mean to do it that time. I just hit the wall and it just popped a big hole in the wall in the laundry room of my parents' house. I was like, fuck. Tried not to do that anymore. But yes, it's funny. Where'd you get that from? You just found it?
I'm just good at what I do.
Okay.
It's on your Instagram page.
I think, yeah, it must be from a while back, but yeah, that is one of my favorite photos. I do like that photo a lot.
Did you ever ask your dad or your grandpa, or even just through observation, did they feel like they had to be stern in that city in that time? Where do you think that came from?
That's a good question. I never asked my granddad that, nor my dad. My dad's not that, like, he was definitely had some stern moments as we were growing up, but he's a pretty funny guy. Like he likes to talk shit, and he's pretty goofy. So I wouldn't say that he is the same as like my granddad and then my great granddad. I think if I think about it, like, that's during like the Great Depression.
Yeah.
It's a tough time. Like you just had to work really fucking hard to make shit happen. And so, I think that was just the time.
Yeah.
I don't think it was special in the fact that they were in a small town. I think if you're just farming and ranching, it's really fucking hard work. That's why we're not seeing a lot of, guys like our age going into farming and ranching, because
Right.
it's you work every fucking day. You don't take vacation. Like my granddad's maybe left Kansas one time in the last 30 years, maybe even that, maybe even longer than that. I think the one time he left Kansas when he was like 20 years old, and him and a bunch of buddies like drove to LA in a truck and then came back, and that was it. Like, I don't think he's ever left. And if I think about the Tri-County area, he probably hasn't left that in 20 years. So like you can't, because you have to feed cattle even during the wintertime, or you're harvesting crops, or there's always something that you can do. So it's like, I don't know if that's what made them so stern. But like, for example, my great granddad, when you're harvesting wheat, like you have a combine that harvests all the wheat and then puts it into a grain. At the time, it was just pickup trucks, and then they would dump them at the grain elevator. Most people, when they have a full, bin of grain and the truck's not there because it's still at the elevator, they'll wait. My granddad would just dump it on the ground and make my great grandma fucking shovel it into the back of the truck. And so obviously at some point, like, there's just a giant mound that my great grandma, who's this tiny little lady, is just shoveling fucking, and he's not helping her. He just did it himself, or, she was just doing it herself. So it's like, I think it's just the product of the time. Like, in today's world, you just wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you would, but like, I don't think it's as common.
Are these your brothers and you?
Yeah, I'm all the way on the left. That's my oldest brother, Kenton, and then that's Kyle. So all three K names. For my mom wanted all K names. I don't know why. If you can see here too, Kyle's got a nice little mullet going on as well. He rocked that for a long time. He would like be at the barber and like cover the back of his head and be like, nah. And then it turned into a rat tail for a little bit. I think we all maybe had mullets, but yeah, we're actually on a hay bale right there. So that's another thing. Like, all-American childhood, like what I wouldn't be able to recreate is like, am I going to send my kids to a random farm? Like, again, my parents had 3 boys back to back to back. You can imagine how stressful that is to have that. So there would be a lot of times where they'd be like, you guys are just going to go to the farm and we just need a break. So they would just drop us off at my grandma and granddad's and we would just be on the farm for the weekend or for a week. And same thing, they just be like, oh, hey, there's some bunch of hay bales. You guys just go run on the hay bales for 3 hours. And so that was like, and that was amazing because you know, use your imagination, do whatever you wanted out there. It was so much fun. There's junkyards all over the place. Like out behind my grandparents' house, there was a big junkyard. So we would always pretend like one of them was like this secret lab. And because I think it was a lab at one point. So there you'd see different like shit from like the 1940s that was there. But it was, again, just all American childhood, growing up on the farm, growing up in a small town, doing like you just had access to do so much shit. Like had a BB gun when I was like 8 years old. Like it was the best. Had a go-kart for a little bit. It was so much fun.
What were the family dynamics like growing up?
Like between my parents or just
and the boys? Yeah.
Well, my mom comes from a very large family, so she's got 6 brothers and sisters, 2 brothers and then 5 or 4 sisters. So big Irish Catholic family on my mom's side. And then my dad's side, he's got a brother and a sister. Dynamic between them, again, everyone basically lives in Minneapolis or lives in Lincoln, Kansas, the 2 towns. My mom's side, most of my aunts and uncles were either coaches or teachers in the grade school or the high school. So I had like an uncle that was like my basketball coach and my history teacher. I had an aunt that was my track coach and she was the librarian at the grade school. My mom was she was like my junior high coach. She was a high school track coach for a number of years and she was the physical education teacher at the grade school. So like I had just numerous family members throughout my educational system. So I had that growing up, which is kind of unique as well. And I was even reflecting on this the other day of like, it's kind of obvious now that like I would go into something like personal training or coaching because I come from a very long line of people that are coaching. So I don't know why I just had that epiphany the other day, but I was like, okay, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like I've been around it for my entire life. So it seems like the most obvious thing that I'd want to go into.
Yeah. Were you guys raised Irish Catholic?
Yeah, we were raised Catholic.
Are you still?
I still tell people I'm Catholic, but I haven't been to Catholic Mass in forever. Like, you know, obviously yesterday was Lent, so I wasn't walking around with the little ash cross on my forehead. No, I went through, I think most people have this happen, or at least young men have this happen. In your 20s, when you start to read more and you're in college, it's really cool to become an atheist. And around that time too, that's when like, what's his name? Sam, I can't remember his name. He's like a very famous atheist. God damn it, what is his fucking name?
I feel like I know who you're talking about too, but I'm blanking.
It's not Sam Smith. It's so simple. Anyways, I was a pretty hardcore atheist in my early 20s, leading deeper into my later 20s, and then eventually I was like, that's its own religion in itself, is just to be like this hardcore atheist and to pretend like you actually know what's happening or what's going to happen when you die is insane. That's like it's like the most common adage. Like as you get older you realize how much you actually don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Like in your 20s you're like, I know so much because I've read 5 books. I'm like a genius now. But as you get older you're like, I mean, there could be a God. Do I think it's like the Christian Bible God? Probably not. I don't think we fully understand even what the concept of God is. We barely understand what gravity is. What are we going to sit here and act like we know what the most powerful being ever to exist is and what his or her like idea is of what they want the humanity to be? No, we don't know that at all. So I went through that for a little bit. I don't think I'm going to go back to the Catholic Church, but I would like to go back to Mass again. I've gone to like weddings, like Catholic weddings, and it always trips me up because have you ever been to a Catholic mass before?
I have not.
Okay. There's a lot of like rules of what happens. Like, you've probably heard about standing, kneeling, sitting, that kind of shit. But like the priest will say certain things, and you'll say like, and also with you. So he'll like say a prayer, and you'll say it back, like the whole congregation will be like, and also with you. They changed that, and I didn't realize because I hadn't been going to mass. They changed it, and it turned into, I don't know if this is like more inclusive or what's going on. This is when it was Pope Francis, not the new Pope. It's and also with your spirit. So I was in just, it's like Pavlov's thing. You hear the bell. Like I heard the priest say that, and I was like, and also with you. And everyone around me goes, and also with your spirit. And I was like,
Uh-oh.
I looked at my friend who's Catholic. I go, when the fuck did they do that? He goes, first off, don't say fuck in the Catholic Church. I was like, my bad. I was like, seriously though, when did they change that? He goes, like a couple years ago. Like, they can do that? I thought this was like ancient. That it was just this forever. Like, what do you mean? But as I learned more about like Catholicism, like it used to be where the priest wouldn't even look at you when they do like the sacrament, when you're about to go up and take, do the Holy Spirit and drink the wine, take the, eat Christ's body. It used to be the priest would bless that and be turned away from the congregation and looking at the crucifix. But now he turns towards, and there's a lot of people that were upset about that. Just the fact that he's turning towards, which is hilarious. It's just like the little things. I do appreciate Catholicism because there's a lot of like really cool rituals that I think get lost in like New Age Christian churches, like the rock band in churches. I hate. I'm like, why? Like, this isn't a rock concert. You should be going in there. It should be very serious and stern, and it should be like, oh, like that kind of stuff. Not like, let's have an intermission for a Christian rock band song. And there's a guy in the background like doing the drums, like getting at. Like, I don't want that. That doesn't seem right. So, no, I don't. I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I still tell people I'm Catholic.
Fair enough.
Because I'm confirmed.
Here's you and your brothers. Several years later.
Yeah. 2015. It's at my parents' house. That was during, as you can probably tell, Christmas. It's funny, like one of my brothers does live back in Minneapolis. And then my other brother lives in Colorado Springs. He was in the military for a long time, so he kind of floated around, but ended up in Colorado Springs. So most of us are still kind of in somewhat the same area. Kenton's got 4 kids, and they're going through Minneapolis, and he's got an oldest one that's in high school right now. So it's cool seeing him play sports. Kyle's got a couple kids too. I'm the only one in the family that has no kids. My mom likes to remind me of that whenever she can. But yeah, these, Ken, Kyle, and Kory, there we are right there.
What's the biggest difference between that version of you and the one that I showed you a couple minutes ago?
Well, this was probably like a year after graduating college, a year and a half. No, it would have been a year. So I think at this point, I can't remember if I was living in Colorado at the time or not. I was bumming in my brother's basement, Kyle, the one in the middle there. I was bumming around in his basement for like 6 months while he had a family, and I was trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life. And getting a corporate job right away didn't seem great. Didn't seem like the way I wanted to go. I think at that time, man, so when I left college, I graduated in, why am I blanking whether it's 2013 or 2014? Around that time. And then right after that, I moved to Colorado Springs, lived in my brother's basement, worked at a bar, and then did like house remodeling stuff because I was, I grew up on a farm, so I'm decently handy. I'm not the most handy guy in the world, but you tell me how to do something once, it's like I can go do it. And I was saving up money because I had another friend that lives in the Ottawa County area. That's Minneapolis is in Ottawa County. Who was like a musician and also like a farmer, rancher. His dad, actually this hat right here, Double K Hunting, has a hunting lodge up there. So he'd be like the purveyor in the hunting lodge where he just kind of like shot the shit with hunters and played music and do that kind of stuff. Well, he'd just gotten a van so he could tour in. We were going to go live in the van for 3 months where we were going to drive from Colorado through the Southwest, go to LA, stay at my buddy Mikey's house, who actually lives in Austin now and is a musician here. Stay at his place and then ride up the Pacific Highway, the one, all the way up to Bellingham, Washington, where we had another friend that lived there. So I think I had just gotten done with that trip. Now, I didn't make it all the way up to Bellingham because I ran out of money in LA because we stayed in LA too long and I didn't have enough money.
It's expensive there.
It's very expensive there. So I think at that point I had just come back home.
Is that this guy?
That's me right there. Yep.
There it is.
That's Taylor Klein right there, buddy. That's when I said, I have enough money to get a plane ticket back home, but I don't have enough money to make it all the way to Bellingham. The idea was to work along the way, and I just did not do that at all. I just kind of really enjoyed living in a van and bumming around and just checking out little towns and trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do, which I still didn't know what I wanted to do at that point. But, you always think this is like the people that take mushrooms one time and they think it's going to solve all their problems. Like, I thought this trip was going to solve every problem that I had, and it just didn't. Like, I still had a long road ahead to figure out what the hell I actually wanted to do.
When did you start playing football?
Probably when I was like 6 or 7.
And you played through college, right?
Yep.
Did you ever have a thought or plan or idea of maybe taking that all the way?
No.
No.
No. Growing up, I was way more into basketball. So I had dreams when I was 10 years old. I was like, dude, I'm going to 100% go to the NBA. Minneapolis actually had a really good basketball team for a very, very long time. So there was a culture of basketball there. So I was very into basketball, played basketball basically year round. So definitely thought I was going to go to the NBA. It's hard when you're a 5'10" white boy and you like to take it to the hoop, because Allen Iverson was my favorite basketball player. So I try to emulate my game about him. I'm not as good as him. So even though he's also 5'10", it just wasn't going to translate to college basketball. And I was just better at I was better at football. And so I wanted to play sports in college. And so football, I had more offers to play football than play basketball. It would have been a stretch for me to play basketball. I would have played D3 or NAIA and probably would have never played.
In middle school or high school, was there any particular moments that you feel you went right, you could have gone left, and if you had gone left, it could have dramatically changed the trajectory that ended up making you today?
Yeah, high school. So that same uncle who was my basketball coach, it's a really long story, but let me try to summarize it a little bit to where I'm not just rambling about it. Essentially, the year before, I would have been a sophomore. So Kenton was on the basketball team. Kyle was on the basketball team. Kenton would have been a senior. Kyle would have been a junior. I was a sophomore. We were all playing at the same time. We played I don't think Kyle didn't start, but me and Kenton both started on that team. I can't even, at this point, I don't even remember what happened, but, again, a lot of teenage angst in our household. So something happened to where Kenton ended up quitting the team, and then Kyle also did. I was the only one that stayed on the team, so I was being loyal. Fast forward to the year after that, there was already tension within the family because it was my uncle. He's not my mom's brother. It was my mom's brother-in-law. But still, I'd known Eric since I was, 3 years old. He babysat me when he was in college. So I'd known Eric for a very long time. He just went about, and again, we were fucking hellions too. So it's not like I was a perfect child. I'm not going to sit here and say that I wasn't drinking and smoking pot and doing all the things that you shouldn't be doing when you're 16 years old, but I was. And there was an argument that was had. I didn't like the direction of what he was doing. This is also immaturity of a 16-year-old, and I ended up quitting the basketball team, and Kyle also quit. And my dad was like, you can't just not play sports. Like, you're going to go crazy. He's like, you have a chance to go play sports in college. It's not going to look good if you like quit the team and you're only playing one sport. You need to be playing multiple sports. So what ended up happening is I transferred high schools, and I actually transferred to an even smaller high school. Not because I was like, oh, I wouldn't be able to play at a bigger high school. I definitely would have been able to play. It just was, I had two friends at this smaller high school, which is only 15 minutes away. It wasn't really that far, but 15 minutes of just country roads that you're driving through. Like, it'd be the difference of like going from like downtown Austin to not even to Round Rock, not even to Cedar Park. It was like shorter distance than that. But I had two friends that I'd grown up playing football and basketball with. So I knew them, and one of those guys, Jordy, was getting recruited to play Division I football, even though we were playing 8-man football, which is, they play 8-man football in Kansas. I think in Texas they actually play 6-man football. But anyways, I transferred there. Had I not transferred to that school, I probably would have continued doing way more drugs, partying way more, because that was just, even though I was only 15 minutes away, the atmosphere there was different. There wasn't as much of that going on, and what was going on with that, I didn't really partake in as much. I was able to distance myself from the people that were maybe like friends that I had in Minneapolis. I just didn't hang out with them as much anymore because I was going to school and I was playing sports, and I got more serious about sports. And that's when I actually started lifting too. Before that, I hated weights. I hated going to the weight room. I thought, especially as a basketball player, you're told that like if you lift too much, it messes with your shot. So I was like, I'm not trying to mess with my shot. I'm a basketball player. I don't need to lift a lot of weights. Well, by the time I was a junior, I was like, well, I'm getting some looks to play football. I need to put on a lot of weight because I weighed like 145 pounds. I was like, you can't play football at 145 pounds in college. You'll get killed. So I started lifting weights when I transferred to that other high school. Started really falling in love with that process of lifting and of just being a little bit more dedicated towards something, just having, just a little bit more of a direction in my life than what I had previously. I think if that wouldn't have happened, I don't think I would be where I'm at right now. I think I would have taken a totally different path. And I also didn't live at home. I lived at my buddy's house in Tesket. That was, again, it was only 15 minutes away, but just so I wasn't driving all the time, I ended up staying with my buddy my senior year. So it was like my first taste of freedom. He lived with his grandma. His grandma did not give a fuck what we did. She was ripping cigs inside. Like, we could smoke inside if we wanted to. Like, she didn't care at all. So it was like the first taste of freedom, the first taste of being an adult, whether good or bad. Obviously, inhaling secondhand smoke's not the greatest thing in the world, but it was freedom for the first time. And then I think that helped me when I went to college. One, you went to school too. Yep. You remember all the kids that did not drink in high school at all, and then go to college. Were you just getting blackout drunk as soon as possible because you didn't know what you were doing?
Yep.
That didn't happen to me because in high school I already did all that in high school, so I knew that like chugging an entire bottle of vodka wasn't going to be good. Yeah. So, and I remember seeing like freshman recruits coming in, and their first 3 weekends in college, they're just getting so drunk, and I had to be like, dude, you can't drink that much. Yeah. You can drink like a third of that. You'll have a great time. But if you drink the entire bottle, dog, in an hour, you're not going to remember anything, and you're going to feel like death tomorrow. So I think that helped me a lot. And not only just like the partying that I did, which I still wouldn't, like, I wish I could maybe change that. Maybe that would, I don't know. But I did lead me to being a little bit more mature in college because I had already lived away from home. That wasn't unfamiliar to me, and I knew what that freedom was, and so it just helped me when I went to school too.
You just reminded me of when I was having a conversation with one of my buddies last year, and we were trying to think of Like, what's something little that we could do? Because we're both very goal oriented. So he's like, what's something minor that I could do that could help me step up my game to the next level? And what's something that he could do? And so we were shooting ideas back and forth and trying to spot like weaknesses and strengths in each other. And I said, I've never really seen you drink. So I know that's not going to be yours. But I was like, do you drink that much? I've known you for 2 years. I've seen you maybe drink 2 or 3 beers in that time. And he said, man, my teenage years were so wild. I was sort of done by drinking when I was 18.
Yeah.
So sounds like he was sort of on your path a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not identical, but he almost like got it out of his system and realized the blacking out and the hangovers. Like, I don't need that. I don't want it. It's not fun.
I waited till I was about 29 or 30, and then I.
Okay, fair enough.
I wish I could tell you that that's what happened to me, but no. The party continued for longer than that, which happens. Most people kind of go through that. I feel like, especially in your 20s, you're like, oh, this is so much fun, and then eventually you get to the point it's like, I feel like I'm doing the same thing every fucking weekend. We go to the bar Friday night. I get really drunk. I wake up hungover Saturday. I waste half my day just so I can get ready to go get really drunk again Saturday night. And then Sunday, I don't do anything because I'm deathly hungover. And then I waste an entire day. And then that's when you get the hangxiety, the Sunday scaries, I think is what they call it. And then you have to go to work on Monday. It's fucking terrible.
And then you say, I'm never going to drink again until Friday night creeps up.
I mean,
5 days later.
Yeah, sometimes it was Wednesday night for me. But, it was not the most ideal. But, I feel like you got to go through. Me personally, I have to learn the hard way. I wish I could be the guy that, like, could get told something and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't do that. But I'm more like, let me experience it to really know that I shouldn't do that. And so that's how I've typically gone about learning things.
Let me go and find out for myself.
Yeah, exactly. Let me go fuck around and find out for myself. And I'll probably come back and say that you were right, but I still want to test and see.
Cody says that you're a rebel at heart. When do you think that kicked in? And is that true?
I would say that I don't like authority very much. I don't like being told what to do. That could be because I'm the youngest. I don't really know. I just have it could have also stemmed because my mom would always say okay and do it right away, and I was like, but you didn't explain why I have to do it right away. Like, why? If you could just tell me that, I'll be more apt to probably do it. But I just never. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Like, I don't feel like my dad's a little bit like that, but like that could have stemmed from my granddad. Because I remember, like, my granddad was always big on like, because I asked him when I was young, I was like, why'd you want to farm? He's like, well, I just don't want anyone to tell me what to do. I want to be my own boss. I want to dictate when and how I do stuff. And that has been big for me because I always did hate, like, I did sales for like 10 years. And I'm not going to say that I was like the greatest salesman ever, but I did pretty well. And my biggest thing from any manager is like, how can I help you? And I was like, just leave me alone. Unless I'm not hitting the numbers of what I need to be at, I don't want you like looking over my shoulder. If I'm fucking around on something, I don't care. Like, look at the numbers. If I'm at 100% or plus on my, on the goals that you've given me, I don't want to fucking hear it from you. I don't care if I'm working 10 hours a week and I still hit that goal. I don't want to hear it. That's what I always said to any manager that's ever asked me for anything. It's like, if you can just be very blunt and honest with me and direct on things that I need to be doing, that would be great. I don't need you to sugarcoat anything, but mostly I just want you to leave me alone so I can just do the thing that I need to do and then, have my free time.
How do you define if you're successful now, today?
I think the question you asked earlier is like, are you happy? And I was like, yeah, because I get to dictate my schedule and I get it, like, I'd be doing the same thing whether I had a, unlimited amount of money or if I had the same amount of money that I have right now. I do have bigger goals to do more things than what I'm doing currently, but it's taken me 3 years to fucking work up to where I'm at right now, to work up my books, to just become a good trainer. So like I feel like I'm on the right path of the things that I want to be doing. Like the fact that, it's Thursday at 11 o'clock and I can just, I don't know if we're supposed to tell people it's Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Technically,
Guys, it's Thursday at 11 a.m.
okay.
Central Time.
I didn't know because the show, I'm guessing the show comes out on Saturday night.
Yeah, but I don't care. People
Okay.
know.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, it's Thursday at 11 o'clock, and I can do a podcast where I can, the last 2 Thursdays I've gone and hiked for like 4 or 5 hours. I can just be outside all day because I'm done at 10 or 9 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I just have the rest of the day to do whatever I want. I have weekends now. Like I have freedom of my schedule, and I'm still making really good money. So it's like most people are trying to grind and work their way in so they can have more time, and inevitably what happens is they just continue to grind and grind and grind until they're fucking 65. I've always thought that was dumb, that you're like retirement savings I know is important, but I still, like I did a call on this the other day. I still think it's dumb because I'm like, why would I save all this money for when I'm 65 so I can go travel when I can go fucking travel right now when I'm young? Why would I want to go do it when I'm fucking 65? In the last waning years of my life, when I'm 65, I'm probably just going to do what my granddad does and lay around all day and not do shit. Like now is the time I want to do things. So why would I make my schedule like that? Why would I save all this money to be okay at that point? Like when I can just go travel and live my life currently, because who knows if you even make it to 65, you might not.
Right.
So I've always had a problem with saving for retirement, even though I know I need to. I'm doing it a little bit, but not as much as some of these guys are like, you need to be putting $4,000 away a month. And I'm like, I mean, I don't think I'm going to need that much, but who knows? Maybe I will.
We could all be bots by then.
Yeah, they could have universal basic income by then. I don't think that that's ever going to be a thing, but you never know. Maybe it will be with AI and the way that it's going forward. Not to get on AI because I feel like everyone's talking about like AI right now, and I just don't think it's that big of a deal. It helps to summarize things when I need to know a dumb fact, and I'm like, tell me this like I'm 12 years old. I think that's a great feature, but
Yes.
like other than that, it's not as like grandiose as some people are making it out to be at the current moment.
When you graduated high school, did you have any expectations from parents or anyone of what you should do?
Sales. My dad really wanted me to go into sales. My dad never farmed. Like he did it growing up, but he hated it. He did not want to be a farmer. He hated that shit. But definitely sales. He was like, you need to get into a sales job. Because from his perspective, he's like, I've been doing this for 30 years and I've got to the point where, he's got a lot of freedom because he still hits all of his goals. He does medical device sales for the dentist industry. So he drives around a lot, but he can still on like a Tuesday, if he wanted to, go golf for 3 hours and it's not that big of a deal. So he was always like, you should do that. You'll make a lot of money, like, go to college. I feel like everyone in our generation, we were told you have to go to college. If you don't go to college, you're going to be a loser. And it turns out like you could actually not go to college and be okay. I actually have a couple friends that are doing really well for themselves and they didn't fucking finish college. So that was definitely the big thing. And I always didn't I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I feel like in college I was like, I guess I'll go do sales. So just like every other athlete in the world, I got a communications degree because it's the easiest degree to get. And I was like, okay, I'll go do sales. I took the year off. Like I basically didn't do a gap. I guess I did a gap year. And then came back and I got a job doing sales. And from the jump, I hated it. I did not like it at all. Doing cold calls, wearing a suit.
You had to wear a suit?
I sold copiers and printers for Xerox and toner. And I wear a fucking suit every goddamn day with a tie and everything. Eventually, they're like, you guys don't have to wear ties anymore. I was like, oh, wow, big news. Like, you still have to wear an entire fucking suit. It's 95 degrees outside, and I have a suit jacket on that I've sweat through already. So, like, yeah, I did that for a year. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. At that point, I was like, I'm going to do a career change. I got my EMT cert, and then I got my fire science certifications. I was going to go be a firefighter. And worked as an EMT for a while. And at the time, I had not gotten a good hold on my anger issues and me just being, the best way to describe it is like a curmudgeon. Like I was already like, again, I was still a pretty hard atheist. I thought the world sucked for the most part. And if you hang around some firefighters and paramedics and EMTs, you think, oh, they're saving people all day. No, you deal with the worst fucking people all day. You deal with drunks, drug addicts, home disputes, like domestic violence. You're not dealing with top tier individuals all day. You're dealing with the bottom feeders of the fucking world, or someone just went through like maybe the worst experience ever, like in a car crash or something like that. And it's like, that's what you're dealing with all day. And I just saw those people and I saw the years of that sitting on them. And I was like, I'm not ready mentally to handle that. Like I'll just turn into the stern asshole that I don't really want to be. So then I moved to Austin at that point. Me and my girlfriend at the time moved here. I was going to get a firefighting job here. Unbeknownst to me, it's like the hardest job to get in Austin because everyone wants to be a firefighter here. At least at that time. I think it's easier now, but like 8 years ago, it was super hard to get a firefighting job. So then I just got another sales job working for a freight broker, which wasn't as bad because I didn't have to do cold calls. It was all inbound leads. And so it was much easier. And I was pretty successful at it, but it still was not the job that I wanted to have. I didn't want to sit in a fucking cubicle all day and make phone calls and answer emails. And I could feel the life force continuously being sucked out of me. But I did do that for 4 years. And then I did the weed stuff after that for a couple of years. I didn't sell drugs. I worked for a tech company that worked in the marijuana industry.
Were you angry before the EMT, or were you angry because of the EMT? Not
Before.
Before? Why?
Before. What a great question. I think there was a lot of chaos in my household. My parents are wonderful. I don't want to like make this some sap story because it's not like I grew up like dirt poor or something like that. I grew up in a middle class household in a very small town. But my dad had a lot of trauma growing up. So did my mom. And I think as you get older, you realize that your parents are just humans. They're not just like these people that know everything.
Yeah.
And they had 3 boys back to back to back. Like my mom got her tubes tied after me because she's like, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to not have kids. Yeah. It's like, it was like one of those things where they didn't expect that. Like my parents, I mean, it's not like they got married and had kids. Like my mom got pregnant and then my parents got married and then my mom had 2 more kids right after that. So my parents had honestly probably only known each other for 4 years by the time I came around. So it's not like they had this like really tight knit 4 years before they had kids and then they had kids. Like they were still really getting to know themselves. And there was just a lot of yelling in my household. And I got to, when you see that, I think that reflects upon you to have anger as well. So I think I probably had anger. Like I can remember when I was like 6 years old, my dad loved to videotape everything that we did. And I got tired of it one day and I was like, fucking stop video. And I took a rollerblade and I threw it through the front window. Big window too. It was not good. So I think I had anger from a very young age, just because of the chaos in my household.
I'm going to apologize in advance for making this analogy, but Thad, as much as I love him, he does have a tendency to follow me around all day, even when I'm just sitting at the computer writing emails or editing videos, and I'll be there and he'll be right there and he'll just be staring into my soul.
Yeah.
And there is something about having a set of eyes on you where you're like, can I have 5 fucking minutes where you're not recording this?
Can you get away, please?
Just a couple minutes. Give me 10.
Yeah. You really understand from a young age. I really understood like how annoying the paparazzi must be if you're famous. Yeah. Like that's gotta be just so annoying. Like, dude, can you please give me 5 feet of fucking space so I can drive my car without just like like flashing cameras. Yeah, it 100%. It was not good.
So I am sure you went into the EMT with this certain expectation of like, maybe we're going to save lives, we're going to help people. And then you end up seeing sort of the underbelly of humanity. Did
Yeah.
that change how you operated or your worldview, or what impact, if any, do you think that had on you?
Um, like, yeah, seeing, because, yeah, I went into it. One, I went into it because I knew it was like very manual labor intensive, which I wanted to do because that's what I did growing up. Like, every summer from the age of like 12, I worked on the farm for most of the summer, if not the entire summer, even all the way up till I was about 24. So I worked on that farm for a very long time, doing mostly manual labor stuff. That's what I knew. That's what I was good at. So I wanted to do something with my hands that I didn't just sit in front of a computer and just type all day. Um, and when I went into it and I started working, yeah, I thought like, oh, like one of the first calls I remember going on is a little girl fell off a horse and broke her arm. I was like, oh, we're gonna be doing a lot of wholesome calls like this where we're gonna help this little girl, and then it turned into, I remember going on a call and this lady it was at a nice house, nice neighborhood. And this lady was just a raging fucking alcoholic, and her husband had had enough. And I think this is like probably the third time we had been over there. Like, not me personally, but the other like
Yep.
paramedics and EMTs are like, yeah, we've been here before. And it's just this fucking crazy lady who's just a drunk, and we had to deal with her for an hour and a half just talking to her about nothing. It's like, hey, do you want to come with us? We can take you to, a recovery center. And it was like, no, I don't want to, like all that. So, and then we had like a crazy car crash on a major interstate. It'd be like if it happened on 35. It was I-70, so east and west. And yeah, some dude just was drunk. A truck driver was drunk and ended up killing like 8 people. And so being on that call, thankfully at the time I was still training. So the EMT I was training underneath, normally you as the EMT need to go into the vehicles and identify the dead bodies, which means you're going to rummage through some dead person's clothing to find a wallet, something to ID them to see who they are. And he's like, I'm going to take this one. You don't need to take that. And he's like, he told me, and he'd been doing it for, he's like, it's one of the nastiest ones I've seen. Like a lady's head was literally fucking cut off. So yeah, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm prepared for this type of intensity and trauma. So yeah, I think I could do it now, and I think I'd be okay. But if you read much about like firefighters and just EMS crews, like the amount of trauma they deal with on a career, like during their career, is what someone might deal with like once in their life. They deal with it hundreds of times in their lives.
I had a buddy who left the police force by the time he was like 25, 26, because said the amount of domestic disputes that he got called into, where he's 24 years old, single, has barely even had a girlfriend, and here he is like mediating between these two 40-something year olds, and he's just like, this is not why I fucking joined the police force.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
what are we doing here? I'm 23. Get your shit together, people.
100%. Yeah, or like there are times we take in a guy that he got caught for drinking and driving, and he'd be like, "Oh, my heart hurts," and so you have to call the EMS, and so we have to take him to the hospital. And wasn't doing this, but the paramedic I was working with at the time, she was just talking shit to him the whole time. It's like, we both know you're fine, and you're gonna go to a fucking jail after this. So I hope you enjoy your ride, because we're gonna go to the hospital. You're gonna be in there for 20 minutes, and they're gonna take your ass to jail because this is your 4th DUI. And it was 2:00 in the afternoon. It's not like it was like late night DUI. It was like 2:00 in the afternoon. It's not like this, he'd been drinking since he got up that day.
Excellent.
So it was a lot of that kind of shit.
Before we fast forward to when you were in sales and ultimately went to the next chapter of your life, is there anything we should bring up that maybe I didn't think to ask about? Or should we jump into your path to training and entrepreneurship?
I don't think there's anything from that period other than like when I moved down here and I was just here. Not much different other than No, not anything I can think of,
How
honestly.
how did you land in Austin?
The girl I was dating at the time, she really wanted to move to Austin. I can't remember why specifically, but I was like, oh, I've heard good things about Austin, and we came down one time, and I was like, seems pretty cool to me. So I just wanted to leave Kansas. I just didn't want to live in Kansas anymore. Like I had been there my entire life. Like I lived in Lawrence, Kansas, which I do love Lawrence, Kansas. It's where Kansas University is at. It's very similar to Austin, just on a much smaller scale. Like it was probably like what Austin was in the 90s. So it's still got like a good food scene. It's got a good music scene, art scene. But it was still small. It was I just didn't want to be in Kansas anymore. I wanted to leave. I wanted to get out of Kansas, get out of like the small bubble that is Kansas, because there's 3 million people that live there. It's like when people now go, oh, I know, I have a friend that lives in Kansas. I'm like, what's their name? Because I might know who they are. It's not. It wouldn't be crazy if I knew who they were. And I've actually ran into people when I was like coaching at Equinox, like people from Kansas. I'm like, oh, where'd you go to college at? They're like Kansas State. I was like, oh, do you know my buddy Keegan? They're like, yeah, I actually did know him. It's like, yeah, it's very small. So I just wanted to get out. I lived in Colorado. I thought Colorado was going to be my spot, and I just didn't. Like I wasn't going to live in Colorado Springs because it's like a very much a military town, and I thought, oh, I'll live in Denver. I worked in Denver for a while and hung out there. Denver is kind of a whack city. Like
Is it?
it's fine, but like it didn't have like it didn't have what Austin has, which Austin has like a great community of people. People were all very nice. It felt like Denver was very cliquey. Denver was very isolating to be there. And honestly, you're not that fucking close to the mountains. You're still 45 fucking minutes to get to the mountains. It's not that close. Like if you want to be a mountain guy and live in Colorado, live like in the mountains. Don't live in Denver. You're still 45 minutes and maybe even 2 hours to get to the mountains, depending on what traffic is. So I was like, you're not even that close. So it just didn't. I just wanted to move out of Kansas, and I was like, if Austin doesn't work, then I'll just move someplace else. At the time I was 27, so you have anything you want to go do at that point. It's like I don't have kids. I can do whatever I want.
So you show up to Austin. At some point, you get a job with a tech company selling cannabis-based products.
Yeah.
You were doing that for
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that ended.
Well, that company, it's a software company, technically. So, like, I just helped growers move their product to dispensaries and how they market it, how they put it into the marketplace, all that kind of different stuff. Great job for a pothead like me, because when you go visit clients, they give you a lot of free shit. So you would think I had that job. It's in an industry that I thought was really fascinating because it's ever evolving with, from policies from a federal level to a state level. I worked from home. I had the freedom to travel. Like when I worked for that company, I went and traveled to Germany, just, stayed in Germany for a couple of weeks, went to Amsterdam. I went to Mexico while I was still working from there. I went to Spain. So I could travel abroad wherever I wanted to, and they didn't care as long as like you were still doing your work, which I would. And really for that company, I was working like 4 hours a day. I wasn't really grinding that hard. Now I needed to be in front of a computer for 8 hours a day, but like for the most part, like I wasn't really working that hard in an industry I liked, and I was making the most money I'd ever made, and I was still depressed. Like I was constantly searching. I was like, why do I feel like this? Why am I like feel like this empty void in my life when I have everything that I've been working for the last 10 years? I've got that job now. And I just couldn't figure it out. Thankfully, that job started going through layoffs, and I made it to basically like the last. They were doing layoffs for like a fucking year, and I made it to the very last round. I'm sure they've done layoffs since then, but I made it a year, and then I got laid off. And it did come out of nowhere because I had talked to my manager the month before, and I was like, "Are we good? Like, it doesn't seem like we're good." And he's like, "No, everything's fine." I was like, "Do I need to look for a job?" Is basically what I was like, "Do I need to start looking for jobs?" Like, that's fine if I need to. I just would like a month's heads up so I can do that. And So it kind of caught me out of left field. And ultimately, I went on a run that day. I remember I ate a gram of mushrooms and then I went and ran 10 miles. If no one knows this, LSD and mushrooms, if you're a runner, it's the greatest PED of all time. It really is. Like you can run for fucking ever on those. You just don't get tired. You don't get hungry. You don't get thirsty. You have to remind yourself to eat and drink water. If you're going to do like a long distance run, like you'll be good. So that's how at the time I was running a ton because I was training for a specific thing. And I just ran 10 miles. And when I got done with that, I was like, this is good. This is like actually really good. I need like a big wake up to what's going on. And I was like, I'm going to use this time to figure out what I actually want to do. Because at the time I was 32. I was like, if I don't do this now, if I don't change career paths now, I'll never do it because I'll end up getting another really good job, probably meet a girl, get married, have kids. And at that point, it just makes it vastly more complicated to do the things that you want to do if you have kids and stuff, like, because you have to provide.
Yep.
So I took like a sabbatical. Part of that sabbatical, I've been doing yoga for like 10 years. It was actually kind of weird. The small kid from Kansas, like I started doing yoga when I was like 18, and I thought like mindfulness and meditation was really cool for whatever reason, but I got into it really young. I saw Black Swan was doing like a teacher training, and I was thinking about doing that the year before, but just in Austin. And it's like over like a 3-month period, but they do them out in like Costa Rica. Well, that job that I was working at, they gave me like a fucking fat severance, and I already had savings too. And I was like, well, this seems perfect. It was like a month out from when I got laid off. I go to Costa Rica for 18 days and do yoga for 18 days and then get a cert and I'll be a yoga teacher. I didn't want to go into it being a yoga teacher, but I thought, well, this is like a good thing to go into. And it'll give me time to reflect and talk, and think about what I want to do and talk to other people, because a lot of the people that will be there will probably be in the fitness industry. Because I was kind of leaning towards that. And so I went on that. And even before that, I had really considered like doing like the online personal training stuff. I was like, oh, I've seen people talk about this where you can still travel, because I really wanted the flexibility to be able to travel like I was before. It's like, oh, you just have a laptop and you can do programming for people and do check-in calls and that kind of stuff. Like, that's great. And you can still make money doing something you want to do. So I went to Costa Rica, and then right after Costa Rica, I went to Colombia for 2 weeks just to go travel there because I was already that close. And then went to Alaska for another 10 days after that with some friends to go backpacking. And in all that, I was like, I started to really solidify the fact that I was like, I want to do something in fitness. And at the time, it was like, I'm going to do online personal training. That's the route that I'm going to go. I'm only going to do that. I don't want to be tied down to a gym. That's dumb. People that do that are idiots. Again, at 32, I still thought I knew everything. And I decided to go on that path. Now, the first year of that, it was a struggle because the money started to run out. I had paid for some coaching to figure out how to set up my online business and did that. Didn't get a ton of traction. Started to have to like really post on social media, which at the time, I was a cool guy, traveled the world. And so I wanted my Instagram to be perfect. And, because I was single at the time, so I want girls to think I'm cool. And I was like, I'm going to have to start posting about fitness and stuff. I was like, all my boys that I played football with are going to make fun of me so much because I'm doing the douchey, workout videos and stuff like that. And you know what happened? Not a single one of them said anything to me.
Really?
Not one. Because they don't fucking care. They got their own lives. Most of them probably saw it, scrolled through it, didn't even think about it. Like I still to this day haven't said anything to me about it because you're in your own head about that kind of shit. Like, oh, if I post and like everyone's gonna make fun of me. Most people don't even notice it because they're just doom scrolling. They're not even going to see it for the most part. So if anything, I've gotten positive reinforcement on doing that kind of stuff. And so I started to post, and I took a couple more corporate jobs, but they only lasted like one of them only lasted like 3 months. I actually got fired from it, and I was like, you know what? That's fair. Like I fucking really wasn't trying that hard, and you guys caught me. I worked for like typically in a sales job you get like 6 months of ramp up. So when they canned me at 3 months, I was like, man, I was doing way less work than I thought I was doing. Which again, it's fair that they fired me. Like they should have, but it did help me like string myself along as I was trying to work with people in person. I was trying to get online clients, and like I finally got to the point after like a year and a half of doing that, and I was like, I need to go like be a better trainer. I need to just go be a trainer. Like this fucking online stuff is whatever, but like I need to just go be a trainer and train people in person and get reps at training people. Because I was like, over a year and a half period, Kory, you've trained like 7 people. That's not enough, and maybe at 2 or 3 sessions a week. That's not enough. Like you're not really learning anything other than just, because I worked at Squatch as like a front desk person, and by front desk person I mean you're the sauna person, which means you clean the nasty ass sauna, you clean the cold plunges, you're sweeping the gym, you're doing all that stuff. Like basically a janitor is what I was there, but it gave me a lot of time to just learn about fitness and talk to other trainers. So I did that for a while, but I knew that like if I really wanted to get good at being a trainer and actually know what it's like to be a trainer, I should probably go train people in person. So when I got laid off, or not laid off, I got fired. I got fired. Didn't get laid off. I got fired from the last corporate job I've ever had and ever planned to have. I saw someone in like the yoga community that was a yoga teacher at Equinox, and she's like, hey, they're hiring trainers. If you want a referral, go through me. I didn't even really know her, but I just reached out to her on Instagram. I was like, hey, I'd actually like to apply to Equinox to be a trainer there. And got the job. And Equinox is obviously a big box gym, but I wish I would have done that from the jump. Honestly, if I'd done that from the jump, who knows where I'd be at right now. I'm pretty happy where I'm at right now. But like, it made so much. As soon as I got there, I was like, oh, there's like, they show you like how to run the business, how to like different training modalities. Like you're getting reps, even if it's not someone that's going to be a client, you're getting reps at training people. There's 10 different trainers there that are all kind of in the same boat as me in some regards. Like they're ex-college athletes, really into training. So like they this is what they want to do as their career. It's not like, oh, I do this as part-time. It's like, no, this is like their fucking life. And so I learned so much in this last year of just working there. But Equinox also takes 2/3 of your fucking paycheck of what, like, I charge someone $145 an hour. I maybe get paid $40 after taxes.
Yeah.
If that, depending on how many sessions that you're doing at the time, because it's like on a sliding scale. The more sessions you do, the more you get paid, which makes sense from there, because they're like, we want you working your ass into the ground so you can make us a lot more money, and you can get 1/3 of that, and you can make good money at Equinox. So you can make over $100,000 a year working as a trainer at Equinox. You're gonna fucking work your ass into the ground doing that, but like, and you'll work 7 days a week, but you can do it. And there are guys there that do that, and God bless them. But I didn't want to do that. Like I was like, I don't want a boss. I don't want the corporate structure, because there were still emails. There was still, you have to go through like the onboarding stuff whenever you sign up for a new job, where you have to go through like the crazy, ridiculous scenarios of like discrimination, sexual harassment. It's like, I think I understand, don't be racist and don't inappropriately touch or say things to people. I don't need to take the 10th course on this to know that and do it 3 times a year. So I got to the point where I was like, I just don't want to be here anymore. And I want to be able to just take all my clients and have them in person at Squatch. And I still had the idea that I wanted to do the online stuff too. That has since gone away, because the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what you like doing, Kory? You like working with people in person. You just don't like having a boss over top of you to tell you when you have to be here, using their dumb scheduling system, when you can just use your own calendar and just bill people directly, and that's it. And now that I'm doing that, my life feels infinitely better, and I completely just stopped even thinking about doing online stuff, because I'm like, online's good if you're an online personal trainer. It's good if you know how to niche down really hard, and if you're really good at marketing. And I found myself being a marketer, and I wasn't a trainer anymore. I don't want to be a fucking marketer. I don't want to sit behind a computer anymore than I have to. Because every time I sat down to do that kind of shit, I was like, I feel like I'm back at my corporate job and I'm miserable again. Why the fuck am I doing this? And it wasn't like someone made me do it. It was fully me. I just told myself, you have to do it. You have to do it. And then one day I was like, I actually don't have to do that at all. I can just go this other route, the route that I enjoy going down and doing, and I'll just do that. And that's what I've been doing now for a couple months. And I'm like, I'm so much happier just doing that. Like, it doesn't need to be this grandiose plan. Like, I'm doing fine. I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's what I've been searching for. And then I was like, how can I fuck up my life and make it something that I don't like doing again? And then I was like, I'll just not do that because I don't have to.
The last guest that I had on, also a football player, very skinny kid, so I was surprised to hear that, but he made it work through his junior year of high school. But he was talking to me about this concept called scratching, where sometimes you don't know what you want to do, and you sort of feel like you're in this dark room, absolutely no lights at all, and you just sort of begin scratching at the walls until you eventually find the door handle, and then hopefully have whatever it takes to open the door and walk through it. And it sounds like that was sort of your journey.
Yeah.
You sort of had to stumble upon it. At 18, you never could have guessed, I want to be doing my own training business. You sort of just had to go through 14 years of discovery and experimentation, and then ultimately you landed on what your thing is.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think I knew from that age that I didn't want to do the corporate thing. That just never at any point was I like, that sounds like fun. Like, at no point was I like, that sounds great. It always sounded terrible to me. And honestly, I probably should have just gone to like a trade school, but I wanted to play football, so that it just wouldn't really worked out that way. But like, doing like physical work is when I'm the most happy. Now I considered farming, but the thought of living in Lincoln, Kansas, population 800 people, and not only that, but working every single fucking day wasn't exactly, wasn't top of my list to do that. So I'm pretty happy with the path I've taken now at this point.
I have a question from Cody for you. What currently is holding you back? What are your limits, and where are you hesitating?
He would ask that. For a reference for anyone that doesn't know Cody, he's on his way to become a therapist right now, so he's in school for that. So he would ask the deepest fucking question you possibly could. Can you ask that one more time?
Yeah. What currently is holding you back? What are your limits, and where are you hesitating?
What is holding me back? I don't really see anything that's like really holding me back at the present moment, because I'm doing everything that I want to be doing. What are my limits? I think my limits are sitting behind a computer. That seems like a big limit for me. And maybe I'm making it out to be this bigger like boogeyman than it actually is. And I always try to be conscious of that, because if you constantly tell yourself that you hate something, you're going to hate it.
Yeah,
but
you'll
if you
manifest that.
You'll manifest that. And I actually saw on your mirror like how you have different things written down, and I think that's good to like see those, and because you can't like, manifestation is a pretty woo-woo thing, but if you look at it from like a neurological standpoint, it makes sense. If you tell yourself every single day that you're going to do this particular thing, you're going to be more apt to do it. Doesn't mean you are going to do it. So like, if you tell yourself right now, if we were both like, we're going to go play in the NFL, we're probably not going to play in the NFL.
Right.
But we can maybe get into a role that would be similar to that, because you're trying to put yourself on this particular path. So my limits would be trying to like not be so negative on doing computer work, because at some point I'm going to have to sit behind a computer and do something, because I'm not going to be a trainer forever. Like, I'm sure I'll go and do something else, but I don't think it'll be anything that will be a lot of time sitting behind a computer thinking about how to write ad copy. I don't think that's going to be the thing that I'm going to be doing. Like, man, I'm trying to think like of like a good thing of where the limits would lie, and I just, so far at this point, other than doing the online stuff, but I feel like that was meant to go. I've told myself I was going to switch careers, and I've done that. So limits are what you want to make them. I don't feel like I have any limits in where I want to go at this point. Like, at some point I would like to open like some type of a gym that's not like super pressing at the very moment, but it's more something that like me and my girlfriend have talked about, because again, we're both in fitness. I guess the audience doesn't know that my girlfriend owns a Pilates studio. But we're looking at how we can kind of combine the two things that we do into one location. Whether that's going to happen in the next 6 months or in 3 years, that's like the next step that I would like to take. And again, I would have never thought that would be my goal even a year ago. So there was a third one in there. Limits.
Where are you hesitating?
Where am I hesitating? I guess I'm hesitating to answer this fucking question. My hesitations are more towards when and where we would do this project together, me and Olivia, my girlfriend. And when's like the right timing? Because you always are like, it's always fun to brainstorm an idea, and then when it's like time to actually do the idea, it's like, well, I don't know. Can we do this? Can we do that? It's like, it's going to be a big risk, because it's, it's a financial risk to do that, because I could just continue doing what I'm doing and it'd be fine. Or it's like, we could open this thing, and after crunching the numbers, like, this could be very profitable, but also no one could come. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case, but like, that's still a reality of the situation. So I don't have hesitations on doing it with her, because she's already opened up her own business. She's a very smart businesswoman. I believe in my own work ethic to make it work, but there's still that fear around that. Like, leaving behind what I have right now, am I going to just be pissed off? Like, I was so much happier when I was just training people one-on-one, and that's all my gig was. Now I got to manage a bunch of people. I don't think that's going to be the case. I've never been opposed to managing people. I just don't want to sit in front. No one can see this, but there's a laptop right here. I just don't want to sit in front of that laptop all day for 8 hours a day. I just can't do that again. I refuse to do that again.
I'm going to make a pivot here.
Okay.
Optimization culture.
It's overrated. It's completely overrated. And at some point, it was helpful. I think like Tim Ferriss was like the founder of that. Like, he's been the most, the 4-hour work week, the 4-hour body, like optimize. And you can also just chill. You don't need to optimize every single thing in your life, because it's to the point, it's like, you're fretting over all this optimization of like, how can I be the most efficient human being in the world? And you're not living. Like, you're not being present in the situation. You're spending all your time, all your free time now is like, how can I be more optimized on this new thing? Like, you don't need a 20-minute or an hour-long morning routine to be optimized for the day. Get up and fucking start the day. Just do it. Like, that's how you're going to be the most optimized. Like, utilize your time. Don't be like, I need a cold plunge, and then I need a sauna, and then I need to do, take all my peptides, and then I need to do all this other shit. It's like, you don't need to do that. You can just start your day and just do the things you need to do, and be present in the moment.
I remember probably 6 to 9 months ago, I was listening to this podcast, and the guest was a dating coach amongst other things. And she had this client who was really excited about a date that she was going on. And their next session wasn't for 2 weeks. So most of that particular coaching session was about what are, how are you going to, what are you going to talk about on this date? Yada, yada. Fast forward 2 weeks, client comes back, coach asks, how'd the date go? And she said it never happened. And the coach said, why? And she said, well, for the first date, he asked me to go out for coffee on a Tuesday morning, but that's when I do yoga. And then for the second date, he asked me if we could go to dinner on a Friday night, but that's when I do this, that, or the other. And the coach was just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, because she's built out her schedule, the client, so that she has, from when she wakes up to when she goes down, she has every 10 to 30 minutes blocked out, which for some people is very productive if they have a hard time focusing. But the coach almost wanted to fire her as a client because she's like, if you want a partner, boyfriend, whatever you want to title you want to use, you're going to have to take a block out of that schedule so you can go meet this guy.
Yeah. Like you can't be, that's a prime example of like, you're so optimized. You're not even allowing any flexibility to come into your life because it's like, well, that doesn't fit my optimization routine. So if I don't do that, then I'm going to be all frazzled and I'm not going to, get all the goals that I want to do. And it's like, most of your goals are frivolous and nonsense anyway. So like maybe take the yoga out and go on the date. Like, that would make the most sense.
What? Kory, you crazy guy.
I know. It's like, and I say all this as a guy that used to really be into like, how can I optimize everything that I'm doing? And then you find yourself, you're just reading a bunch of optimization books and you're not actually applying any of this shit. Like, I know I was that guy. I was like, if I read about it, then that's just as good as me doing. It's like, no, you actually have to apply the things or take one piece out that you can maybe apply. You don't need to apply every single little thing that's within there, but take the thing that speaks to you and then do that. Don't just, I feel like in men specifically, I'll just speak to men because I'm a man and I can, I've gone through that experience of like my 20s was like, how many self-help books can I read? And then you get to the point, it's like, they're all saying the same shit, dude.
Yeah.
Which is like, be present, work hard, schedule things. So like utilize your calendar to schedule things. If you want something to be done, put it on your calendar. And that's basically it. Like, it's not anything deeper than that. Depending on what your self-help book is, maybe it's on dating and it's not going to apply to you. But for the most part, all the optimization stuff it's gotten to be too much to where I'll speak specifically for like fitness. People want the easy route, and that can be either losing weight, gaining muscle, getting stronger, whatever that is. They're like, oh, I can buy this supplement and that'll get me to that. Or I can, whatever. Like usually it's buying a supplement because that's easy to do. It's easy to just go onto Amazon and buy the supplement. You know what's fucking hard? Showing up 3 times a week and doing the exercise for an hour. And then what's even harder is tracking, if you're trying to lose weight, tracking your calories so you fucking lose weight. Those are hard. Those are hard things to do. You can't buy those things. You just have to do it. And, there's no optimization within that. That's literally just doing the action. Now, you can maybe work a way of trying to optimize it, but I'm like, with most clients, again, like I said at the beginning, I try to simplify everything. It's like, if I think about fitness in like 3 pillars, one is sleep. Like, that's your recovery. If you, like I saw a girl 3 times a week for 8 months. And I saw her at 5 a.m. 3 times a week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 days in a row. And every day we'd have the same conversation. Hey, what time did you go to bed last night? She's like, 11 o'clock. I'm like, and you woke up at 4 a.m. She's like, yep. I'm like, how can I get you to go to bed at 9? Because you getting that little sleep, you're not recovering. So basically everything we're going to do today is basically all for naught because your body's not going to recover and it's not going to adapt because you're not giving it the recovery that it needs. Or in the same way in pillar 2, your diet. Like if you're someone that's trying to lose weight, Like, and you're still eating whatever the fuck you want. I don't care if you see me 3, 4, 5 times a week. You're going to continue to gain weight or stay at the same weight because you're eating the same amount of calories. You're not going into a deficit. You need to go into a deficit if you're trying to lose weight. And then the third thing is movement. So that can be, again, if you like to go do yoga, don't make it complicated. If you like to, whatever active thing that you like to do, I need you to do that at least 3 times a week. And if you're not doing that, then the other two don't fucking matter either, because then you'll just be skinny fat. So if you can just do those 3 things, which are hard to do, sleeping enough, because we live in a culture right now that, there's 1,000 different things I can watch on TV. There's 1,000 different things I can watch on YouTube. I can doom scroll on my phone on TikTok or Instagram for hours on end and not go to bed on time. It's really hard to get your diet in place, because we do live in America. In America, we love food and we love processed food. And processed food isn't inherently bad, but it's calorie dense, and we eat a lot of that. And then movement. Most people work a desk job and they sit down all fucking day and they maybe walk 1,000 steps. It's not enough movement. We're not meant to do that. We're meant to be moving all the time. So those 3 things, they're very simple, but they're very hard to do. You can't buy them. You just have to do them. And so if you can just do those 3 things, I guarantee you're going to feel infinitely better. You're going to look infinitely better, but it is going to be hard to do. And it is going to require you to change your lifestyle a little bit. There's no optimization within that. It's just doing fucking 3 things that are really hard. You don't have to optimize. You just do those 3 things. You don't have to, whatever supplements, I don't give a fuck. Like the amount of supplements that clients come to me about, I'm like, I don't care. I care about how much you're eating. I don't even give a fuck what food you eat. Because there was there's actually a guy from Kansas State. He did this. I think I told you about this, but and now this is just one person, but it just kind of proves the fact of eating in a calorie deficit. He only ate food out of a vending machine for, I think it was 3 months, and he ate in a calorie deficit. Not only did he lose weight, but all of his health markers got better. Like his LDL cholesterol went down, which is the bad cholesterol, or quote unquote bad cholesterol, which you wouldn't think, because he was eating fucking Twinkies, potato chips, but again, still in a calorie deficit. All processed food, and he still lost weight. So I tell clients, I don't give a fuck what you eat. I don't give a shit if it's organic. I just want you to eat in a calorie deficit. Just eat in a calorie deficit. That's it. If you're trying to lose weight, again, this is just for weight loss. If you're trying to gain muscle, there's other things that need to be done. But if you're just trying to lose 50 pounds, don't even need you to change your diet. Just literally eat less food and move 3 times a week and sleep 8 hours a night or 7 hours a night. You'll be fine. You'll get there. I promise. It might take longer, but you'll get there. And but they sound simple, but they are extremely hard to do. And you can't buy it. You just have to do it.
You know why I like you as a trainer?
I'm direct.
Well, yes, but also you get fired up for it.
I've
met a lot of trainers who it's a job for them. Maybe I'm good at memorizing things, so I'm going to go memorize all this stuff in this book and then go take a test through NASM or AFA, and now they're in a gym training people. But it's a means to an end. Yeah. I feel like you really care about your client seeing results. You're getting fired up, thinking about some of your clients who are stepping into some very obvious pitfalls. Yeah. I think those are two really good markers of someone who it would be good to train with if you're in the Austin, Texas area.
I appreciate that. Again, I try to just simplify it for people as much as possible. And that seems to be the thing that I've seen the best results with. It's when everyone else wants to try to complicate and do how precise can I get my programming? Again, I'll say this to everybody out there. Programming doesn't really matter that much. If you're doing a squat, a hinge, a push, a pull, or a press in your workout, let's say those 5 movements, and you're working out 3 days a week, and you just do those 5 movements 3 days a week, you'll be just fine. The biggest thing that you need to figure out within that is how hard are you going? So I always tell people, if you look at a scale of 1 to 10, you should be at an 8 of difficulty. Now the problem is most people don't know what that 8 is. Most people never push themselves that hard. Part of my job is I push them that far, and I'm like, just so you know, that's an 8. That's what I'm looking for every single time. And that blows people's mind. Because in the beginning it's okay, scale of 1 to 10, how hard was that? And they're like, oh, that was an 8. And I'm like, that wasn't an 8. So I'll add like another 20 pounds, and then they'll do it again, and they'll do the same. They think that like, oh, there's no way I could go heavier. And then I sometimes I secretly throw weight on when they like, I'm like, go get a drink of water real quick. And I put weight on, and then they do it. And it's like, what do you think now? They're like, oh, that was like maybe like a 7, even though the time before it was an 8 and they had less weight on there. I'm like, well, funny thing is I just added 20 pounds and you thought it was less. So what you're starting to understand now is like, because you see the weight, you think it's really heavy. And part of this is a mental game that when people are maxing out, I don't tell them the weight. I'm just like, we're just going to put weight on and we're just going to go. Because as soon as I noticed early on when I told people, I was like, oh, we're about to bench 185 pounds. They're like, that's so much weight. I'm like, you've kind of lost the game at this point.
Yeah.
Because you now told yourself, again, manifesting, you told yourself it's really heavy. Your body, your nervous system's going to think it's really heavy. If you have no clue what it is and you just feel the weight and do it, most of the time people can do way heavier than what they ever can understand or even think they could do. So again, programming doesn't really matter. Just try to get to an 8. It's called RPE, which is rate of perceived exertion. If you can just do that on all of your lifts, you'll be great.
Kory, this has been super fun. Before we wrap up, anything else you wanted to riff on for a few minutes this morning?
Oh, who can I talk shit on right now? No. I think the biggest thing I want to like leave people with, and I'll continue down the route of like fitness, is there's a lot of shit out on the internet, and I know it can be like overbearing at times because you'll have this guy saying you should drink raw milk and only eat meat, and you have this one saying that you should eat only plant-based products, and another person saying if you touch receipts you're going to get cancer and die, and like it can be very confusing. If you can just simplify and just do the 3 things I talked about, which is sleep 7 hours a night, eat a reasonable diet. Don't even need you to change a ton, but if you're trying to lose weight, eat in a calorie deficit. If you need to figure out what that is, you can talk to a fitness professional. They'll be able to tell you. And then move at least 3 times a week. By move, I'm talking about lifting. You should lift 3 times a week. If you can do those 3 things, you're going to be a healthy individual. And that's all you have to do. It doesn't need to be anything more complicated than that. And if you have like more, I guess, intense goals, work with a trainer. This is even for people like me. I'm about to start working with a trainer too, because I think it's important to have a coach that's going to push you even further past your limits. Even if you're somebody that like has been training for 10, 20 years. I have some clients that played sports in college. They know how to work out, but like they come to me because I can get the intensity level up that much more for them that they wouldn't be able to do by themselves. So if you are somebody, I'm not even saying me, you don't have to come to me. But if you feel like you're having difficulty of trying to get in shape, spend the money to get a trainer and treat it like a therapist. Like you should kind of date around a little bit to see who do you drive with, who do you want to spend time with, because you're gonna be spending a lot of time with them. Figure out someone you like and figure out someone that's knowledgeable, and then just spend money on it because it'll be worth it in the end. And then once you've spent time with that person, really try to learn. Try to take everything you possibly can. If it's something that's like, I'm kind of stretching my budget right now, then learn a lot and then take that shit and apply it later on for yourself.
Yeah. Before we got on mic, same reason why I got a therapist. Just take care of myself in some way, shape, or form so I can navigate these conversations.
Totally, 100%. And I think that's important. I think, a therapist, again, is very much like a trainer. Sometimes I feel like I'm a fucking therapist with some of my clients. I kind of turn into a quasi one where I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. And I'll tell them sometimes, I'm like, dude, I'm not a therapist, so I don't know what to tell you on this one. But you can talk to me about it, and we can, if you need someone just to rebound off of, I'm a pretty good listener. But I don't know what to tell you going forward on that. You need to talk to an actual professional.
Well, to everyone that tuned in today, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's episode, I have one mandate for you. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the show on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts. If you do that small favor for me, which will only take 5 seconds of your time and none of your money, my commitment to you will be every Saturday we'll release a new episode like Kory's with different stories to entrepreneurship and just different days of doing life, so you can figure out how to take your own dreams and turn them into tangible goals that you can actually succeed at. With that being said, I have one more thing for you before we wrap up today's episode.
Kory, you rebel. You stand out from the crowd not because you want to, but because you have to. Your heart is drawn to following its own path, and that independence makes you a rebel. You are fiercely loyal. You're not afraid to tell people about how you feel and hear about what they have to tell you. You're not one to judge, but rather take and give feedback. You're a hippie cowboy, blazing a trail full of love through a libertarian heart. You're not in the business of judging how others operate, but moving boulders because you think it would be a good time defines who you are as a person. Your road is not less traveled. It is traveled only by you. You take what others would define as a difficult route because you find it easier. Not to boast or flaunt or brag, but because honest work is honestly your only option. You are a lantern in the dark, an oasis in the desert, and a rainy day during a drought. Keep crushing, you rebel. Because zigging when everyone else is zagging is a useful skill we can all learn from.
And this is my thank you gift for you for
thank
coming
you
on
so
the
much.
show today.
Appreciate you, dude.
How does that sit with you, that message that Cody just gave you?
I think you should be a poet. I also think he might have used ChatGPT to make this. No, I'm just kidding. He probably did write this because he is a very thoughtful individual. That's great. I wonder, when did you talk to him?
Yesterday.
He wrote that in a day? God, he did use ChatGPT.
Yeah, he did.
I know.
You know him better than I do.
No. I bet he actually did write this because he's a good dude. Love Cody. Cody was actually a guy I worked with at Squatch. We were both just like in the midst of trying to figure out what the fuck we want to do with our lives, and we were making like $17 an hour cleaning a fucking gym. But he's like I met so many good people. Like I'm still at Squatch. I love that place so much. Like Jason, the owner there, incredible guy. Like you wouldn't know that because if you look at him, I mean, he looks like a biker. He's got tattoos all the way up from his neck, all the way down to his hands. But the most genuine, nice person in the entire I've ever even come in contact with. Like, will do anything for you, and so I will die for that gym because of him. Like, and just the people I've been able to meet. Cody's one of them. Like just incredible people there. So Cody being one of them. So I do appreciate this so much.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's funny that me and Cody were talking about this for a few minutes, that in 2026, there's still a few of us out there who see someone covered head to toes in tattoos, and we immediately pass a judgment on them. And I'm just like, really? In 2026?
I know.
Still?
Especially
it's
in
a
this
bummer.
city. Like this city, like everyone's got fucking tattoos. Like, it's just like, it's not even like, 10 years ago, you're like, that must have been like a convict or something. Now
Look
it's
at that
like
criminal.
Yeah, now it's like he's probably a barista somewhere.
Yeah. Barista, fighter, personal trainer, podcaster,
Yes,
for
exactly.
sure.
One of those for sure.
Did you have fun today?
I did have fun today.
All right,
I feel like I
excellent.
rambled a ton, but I think that's what you're supposed to do on podcasts. You're supposed to kind of ramble.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, my goal is that I do about 20% of the talking and you do the other 80. So
Okay.
this was perfect.
Then I think I did a good job then because I was talking a lot. So
Yeah, no, you passed with flying colors.
okay, good.
Well, Kory, thank you for coming on and telling your story. I really appreciate it. To the audience, go do your thing, follow the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, and in the meantime, stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you next Saturday. Bye, everyone.